I settle into my chair at Bella Luna, smoothing Lily's napkin across her booster seat as she wriggles, her small hands clutching a stuffed bunny. Across the table, Harper, my 8-year-old, hunches over her kids' menu, her dark hair falling like a curtain as she colors with careful, precise strokes. Owen, 6 and restless, flips through a puzzle book, his sneakers tapping a faint rhythm against the chair legs. My purse sits by my feet, a worn leather lifeline brimming with crayons, quiet toys, and a few crumpled granola bar wrappers. My restaurant activity kit, perfected over 2 years of solo parenting. At 38, I've learned to anticipate the chaos of dining out with 3 kids, turning potential meltdowns into moments of peace. The restaurant buzzes around us, a symphony of murmured conversations and the occasional clatter of plates. I catch the warm, yeasty scent of fresh bread drifting from the kitchen, and for a fleeting second, it feels like home. Like the Sunday dinners Daniel used to insist on, even when work kept him late. He's been gone 2 years now, a void that still aches, but I've stitched our lives back together with routines like this. Harper glances up, her hazel eyes, so like her father's, meeting mine. "Can I have the purple crayon, Mommy?" she asks, soft and polite. I smile, reaching into the purse, my fingers brushing past a tangle of toy cars and markers to find it. Owen leans over, peering at her menu. "You're coloring the spaghetti purple?" His voice carries that 6-year-old mix of awe and mischief. Harper shrugs, unfazed. "It's magic spaghetti." Lily giggles, her curls bouncing as she arranges her bunny next to a borrowed spoon, whispering to it like it's a dinner guest. They're good kids, I think, pride swelling in my chest. Well-behaved, curious, a little messy around the edges, but good. This dinner is supposed to be a celebration, Richard's retirement after decades at the bank. But already, I feel the familiar weight of my in-laws' expectations pressing down. I take a sip of water, the glass cool against my lips, and brace myself. Family gatherings haven't been easy since Daniel left us, and tonight, I suspect, won't be an exception. The hum of Bella Luna shifts as Jessica's voice cuts through it, sharp and sudden. "Oh my God, not the crayons again!" My sister-in-law leans forward, her sleek blazer rustling as she rolls her eyes dramatically. "This is Bella Luna, Beatrice, not some fast food joint with a play area." Her words land like a slap, and I feel the table tense. Harper pauses mid-stroke, her crayon hovering, while Owen's tapping feet still. Lily tilts her head, oblivious, murmuring to her bunny. I take a deep breath, steadying myself, and meet Jessica's glare with a calm I've practiced too many times. "They're being quiet, Jessica, just coloring while we wait for the food." My voice is even, but inside, my pulse quickens, a familiar heat creeping up my neck. She adjusts her blazer, the fabric gleaming under the chandelier light, and scoffs. "Quiet? It's not about noise, it's about class. You're turning this into a daycare." The word stings, but I keep my hands busy, passing Lily a breadstick to distract her. Evelyn, my mother-in-law, sets her wine glass down with a delicate clink, her lips pursed in that way I've come to dread. "Dear," she says, her voice dripping with condescension, "when Jessica was young, she knew how to behave in fine establishments. Perhaps if you focused on manners instead of—" She flicks her hand toward my purse, the crayon spilling out like contraband, her perfectly manicured nails catching the light. Whatever this is, we wouldn't have this issue. The judgment hangs there, heavy as the perfume she wears, a floral cloud that makes my throat tighten. I force a smile, though my cheeks burn. "They're not disturbing anyone, Evelyn. They're happy." It's true. Harper's back to her purple spaghetti, Owen's tracing a maze with his finger, Lily's nibbling her breadstick, crumbs dusting her lap. But Jessica sniffs, crossing her arms. Happy doesn't belong in a place like this. When Mark and I have kids, they'll know better than to scribble at a table. Mark, her husband, glances up from his phone, offers a weak nod, then dives back into scrolling. Richard, my father-in-law, adjusts his glasses, his menu a shield he hasn't lowered since we sat down. The waiter passes, balancing a tray of steaming pasta, and I catch a whiff of garlic that should be comforting but isn't. This dinner was never going to be simple, not with Daniel's family, not without him here to soften their edges. I tuck a strand of hair behind my ear, the gesture grounding me, and tell myself to let it go. But the air feels thicker now, the clatter of silverware sharper, and I know this is only the beginning. It happens fast. Lily's small hand brushes her water glass, and it tips, a quiet splash spreading across the tablecloth. No one's soaked, just a puddle at our end, but Jessica leaps up as if it's acid. "That's it!" she exclaims, her voice piercing the restaurant's hum. "You and your wild kids need to leave, Beatrice." Heads turn from nearby tables, eyes flickering with curiosity or annoyance. Harper's lower lip trembles, her crayon dropping with a soft thud. Owen clutches his puzzle book to his chest, his wide eyes darting to me. Lily's face crumples, tears welling as she whispers, "Sorry, Mommy." "Jessica, lower your voice," I say, my tone firm now, cutting through her shrillness. I grab napkins, blotting the spill, my hands steady despite the pounding in my chest. "You're the one making a scene." The words feel good, sharp, a release of the pressure building all night. She glares, her face an interesting shade of red, but Evelyn lifts her chin, her silver hair catching the light. "No, Jessica's right," she declares. "Daniel would be appalled to see how you've let things slide since—" She pauses, the "since he passed" unspoken but deafening, a dagger she wields too well. I freeze, napkins damp in my hands, the sting of her words sinking deep. Richard shifts in his seat, his menu still up, his silence louder than ever. Mark taps his phone, suddenly engrossed in some invisible message. Neither man willing to step into the fray. The table feels like a battlefield, my kids caught in the crossfire. Harper's watching me, her small hands folded now, waiting for me to fix this. Owen's grip on his book tightens, and Lily's tears spill, silent but heavy. "They're not wild," I say, my voice low but steel-edged. "They're kids, Evelyn, and they're not hurting anyone." I wipe Lily's cheeks with a clean napkin, her bunny soggy from being hugged too hard. Jessica huffs, sitting back down with exaggerated flair. "Not hurting anyone? This is a disaster." The waiter hovers nearby, unsure whether to approach, and I feel the weight of every glance, every whisper. This was supposed to be Richard's night, a celebration, but it's unraveling into the same old test of endurance. Daniel's absence a fault line they keep prying open. I smooth Lily's curls, my resolve hardening. I won't let them break us, not tonight, not here. I rise from my chair, my heart hammering against my ribs, the damp napkins still clenched in my hand from Lily's spill. "We'll leave," I say, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. Not because we're at fault, but because I won't let my kids face this. The words hang in the air, a line drawn, and I feel the weight of every eye at the table. Jessica's glare, Evelyn's pursed lips, Richard's menu still a barricade. I bend to unbuckle Lily from her booster seat, her small arms wrapping around my neck, her soggy bunny pressed against my shoulder. Harper stands too, her crayons abandoned, her small frame rigid with uncertainty. Owen clutches his puzzle book like a shield, his sneakers scuffing the floor, as he slides off his chair. My purse swings against my hip as I gather our things, the crayons and toys rattling inside. A sound that feels louder in the sudden quiet. I glance at the table, the puddle of water now a dark stain on the white cloth, and something snaps into focus. This isn't about a spill or crayons. It's about them, Jessica and Evelyn, turning Daniel's absence into a weapon, a way to judge us, to erase us. "Come on, sweethearts," I murmur, guiding Harper and Owen toward me, my tone softer now, but firm. Lily's tears soak into my blouse, and I smooth her curls, her warmth grounding me. I won't let them see us crumble. Jessica snorts, crossing her arms, her blazer creasing sharply. Good riddance, she mutters, loud enough to carry. Evelyn nods, her silver hair glinting as she lifts her wineglass, a silent toast to our exit. Richard shifts, his glasses catching the light, but says nothing. Mark's phone glows in his hands, a lifeline he won't abandon. I turn toward the door, my kids in tow, the restaurant's warmth fading behind us, until a shadow crosses our path, purposeful and unyielding. A man steps into our way, his stride deliberate, his gray hair swept back from a face lined with years of work and laughter. Marco Salvatore, the owner of Bella Luna. I know him by sight, a local legend, though we've never spoken. His dark eyes sweep the scene, taking in Lily in my arms, Harper and Owen at my sides, then the table behind us. Is there a problem here, he asks, his Italian accent warm but edged with something serious, a question that demands an answer. The restaurant's hum dips, heads turning subtly toward us. Jessica straightens, flashing a smile so polished it could be glass. Oh, Mr. Salvatore, we're so sorry for any disruption, she says, her voice suddenly syrupy. We were just explaining to my sister-in-law that this isn't really a place for kids. She gestures at us, her hand dismissive, as if we're a mess to be swept away. Evelyn nods in agreement, her wineglass poised midair, her expression smug. I tighten my grip on Lily, my jaw clenching, ready to push past this new obstacle. But Marco doesn't move. He studies my children, Harper's wide eyes, Owen's protective hunch, Lily's tear-streaked face, then turns to me, his gaze softening. You must be Beatrice, he says, and the sound of my name in his rich voice stops me cold. Daniel spoke of you often. Before I can process this, he pulls a chair from a nearby table and sits, uninvited, right beside us, his hands folding on the tabletop. Your husband saved this place 10 years ago, he continues, his words clear and deliberate. When the bank was ready to take it, Daniel structured a deal that kept us afloat. These children belong here. The table falls silent, a hush so deep I hear the faint sizzle from the kitchen. Jessica's smile falters, her face flushing like a tomato left too long in the sun. Evelyn's glass lowers, her brows arching in disbelief. That's impossible, she snaps. We're regulars here, we'd have known. Marco shakes his head, a small smile tugging at his lips. They came for lunch with their father. You wouldn't have seen. His eyes meet mine again, steady and kind, and I feel a lump rise in my throat. Daniel, here? Saving this place? He never told me, never bragged, but it fits him perfectly. A quiet act of grace hidden beneath his easy smile. Richard lowers his menu, just a fraction, his eyes flickering with something I can't read. Mark's phone dims, forgotten. Marco leans forward, his rough hands gesturing wide. This is their home too, he says, and I realize he's not just talking to me. He's speaking to the whole table, a declaration that shifts the air around us. Marco's voice carries, warm and steady, filling the space Jessica and Evelyn tried to claim. Daniel used to bring Harper here when she was just a baby, he says, nodding toward her. She blinks up at him, her crayons still scattered where she left them. He'd sit right there, he points to a table near the window, and say the smell of our bread reminded him of his grandmother's kitchen. I picture it, Daniel tie loosened, cradling Harper, his laugh echoing over plates of pasta, and my chest tightens, a mix of ache and wonder. He believed in this place, Marco continues, in family, in good food bringing people together. That's why he fought to save it. I blink back tears, my arms still around Lily, her breathing slowing as she listens. Daniel never mentioned this, not the late nights poring over numbers, not the deal that kept Bella Luna alive. He was like that, though, always helping, never needing the spotlight. I glance at Harper, her hazel eyes, so like his, watching Marco, and I see a piece of him in her quiet attention. Owen shifts closer, his puzzle book dangling from one hand, curiosity winning over his earlier fear. Evelyn's brows shoot up, her voice sharp. Lunch visits? That's ridiculous, we'd have heard. Marco shrugs, unfazed. He came during the day with the kids. You wouldn't have known. His tone is gentle but firm, a wall she can't breach. Jessica stammers, her blazer creasing as she fidgets. Well, I didn't mean... But Marco cuts her off, not with words, but with a look that cools the air between them. He turns back to me, his expression softening again. Daniel said everyone deserves a chance to build something lasting, he says. Something for their family. Richard lowers his menu fully now, his glasses fogging slightly at the edges, his eyes glistening. I remember, he murmurs, almost to himself. He'd bring takeout from here on Sundays, when he was working late. His voice cracks, the first real sound he's made all night. And I realize he's seeing Daniel too, in the bread, in this place. Jessica's face is a storm of red and white, her argument crumbling. Evelyn sets her glass down, her hand trembling just enough to betray her composure. Marco stands, his chair scraping softly, and smiles at my kids. Emily, sorry, Harper, would you like to help me in the kitchen, he asks, extending a hand. She looks at me hesitant, and I nod, my throat too tight to speak. Go on, I manage, and she takes his hand, small and trusting. Owen and Lily follow, their excitement bubbling up. Owen's sneakers squeaking, Lily's bunny dangling. I watch them go, a strange peace settling over me, even as tears prick my eyes. Left at the table, I feel the shift. Jessica stabbing her fork into her untouched salad. Evelyn staring at her glass like it holds answers. Richard clears his throat, his voice rough. He never told us, he says, and I nod, whispering, that was Daniel. Marco's words echo in my mind. Family, belonging, and I realize this place holds more of my husband than I ever knew. A legacy woven into its walls, its bread, its heart. I sit at our regular table in Bella Luna, the same round one by the window where Daniel once held Harper as a baby, though it feels different now, lived in, ours. Harper, now 9, kneads dough beside Marco in the open kitchen, her sleeves rolled up, a smudge of flour on her cheek, as she laughs at something he says. Owen, 7, sets the table with careful precision, his puzzle books replaced by a stack of napkins he folds into crooked triangles. Lily, 5 and fearless, trails behind him, placing the kids' menus Daniel designed years ago. Simple drawings of pasta and bread, now a treasure we all recognize. My purse still sits by my feet, but the crayons are mostly retired. These days, the kids prefer the kitchen's messy magic. Evelyn calls from the doorway, her voice bright despite the flour dusting her apron. Beatrice, come taste this sauce, I think I've got it. Her silver hair is tied back, her once perfect nails streaked with red from simmering tomatoes, and she looks younger somehow, lighter. I stand, crossing the room, and dip a spoon into the pot, a rich marinara, warm and familiar. It's perfect, I tell her, smiling, and she beams, a rare softness in her eyes. A year ago, she'd have scoffed at the idea of cooking, her hands too pristine for saucepans, but Marco's stories about Daniel cracked her open, revealing the woman beneath the polish. Jessica, pregnant now and glowing beneath her apron, rolls pasta at a nearby counter, her blazer swapped for one of Marco's spares. I'm getting the hang of this, she says, holding up a slightly lopsided strand, and I nod, genuinely impressed. 3 months ago, she announced her baby with a quiet request. I want them to know this side of their Uncle Daniel. It's a far cry from the woman who tried to banish us, and I see it in her too, a shift, a shedding of pretense. The recipe book sits open on the table, leather-bound and worn. Daniel's notes in the margins joined by ours. Harper's marinara, Owen's wild pizza toppings, Lily's antipasto arrangement. Even Jessica's added a page, blending her flair for presentation with Marco's traditions. I watch them all, flour-dusted and laughing, and feel a warmth settle deep, a thread of Daniel pulling us together. Richard appears from the back with Marco, both carrying a stack of old photographs unearthed from the restaurant's archives. "Look what we found," Richard says, his voice rough with excitement as he spreads them across the table. I lean in, my breath catching. A younger Daniel, tie loosened, sits at this very table, laughing with a much younger Marco, plates of food scattered between stacks of papers. His first meeting here, Marco explains, his accent still thick but smoother now, honed by a year of teaching us. He saw heart in this place, not just food. I trace Daniel's smile with my fingertip, the ache of missing him softened by the joy in his eyes. Mark steps in, carrying a large, wrapped package, his usual quiet, broken by a grin. "Found it," he announces. "The sign company finished it." We gather around as he peels back the paper, revealing a hand-carved wooden sign, in memory of Daniel Taylor, who believed in good food, strong coffee, and the power of family. Marco raises a glass of red wine, his eyes crinkling. "To Daniel," he says, "who gave us the recipe for family." We lift our glasses, mine water, the kids' juice cups clinking, and the room feels full, alive, with his presence. Lily climbs into my lap, her small fingers tracing Daniel's face in the photo. "Daddy's laughing," she says simply, and I nod, my throat tight. Richard puts an arm around Evelyn, who brushes a tear from her cheek with her apron. "He knew what mattered," he says, his voice stronger now, "more than we did." I look at him, surprised. He's been quiet for so long, lost in grief or silence, but here he is, seeing Daniel anew. Jessica shifts beside Mark, her hand resting on her belly, and whispers, "I'm sorry, Beatrice. I didn't know him like this." It's the first real apology she's offered, and I squeeze her hand, letting it go. I glance around, at the sign, the photos, the recipe book, and feel Daniel everywhere, not in the stiff portraits Evelyn once demanded, or the rules Jessica enforced, but in the flower on Harper's cheek, the sauce on Evelyn's fingers, the laughter echoing off these walls. "This is his legacy," I murmur, more to myself than anyone, a truth that's grown over this year. Marco nods, catching my eye, and I know he feels it too, a place where Daniel's quiet goodness lives on, binding us in ways I never expected. Lily slides off my lap and skips to Evelyn, tugging her sleeve. "Grandma, twirl it like Daddy showed me in heaven," she says, her voice earnest as she grabs a forkful of spaghetti. Evelyn laughs, a real, unguarded sound, and crouches beside her, letting Lily guide her hands. "Like this?" she asks, and Lily nods vigorously, curls bouncing. Harper calls from the kitchen. "Mom, look, I made the dough perfect." Her voice carries pride, and I see Marco beside her, beaming as he checks her work. Owen and Jessica decorate cookies at the table, his wild swirls of icing making her giggle, a sound I never thought I'd hear from her. I lean back in my chair, the wooden sign gleaming above the entrance, its words etched into my heart. Laughter ripples around me, flour-dusted and messy, imperfect but love-filled, and I feel Daniel's spirit stronger than ever. Not in the formal dinners or rigid expectations of before, but here, in the clatter of pans, the scent of bread, the shared attempts to recreate his favorite dishes. "This is his true legacy," I whisper, the words slipping out as the restaurant hums with life, a testament to love over appearances. Richard joins me, his arm brushing mine, and points to the photo of Daniel and Marco. "He'd love this," he says, his eyes wet but warm. "Not just the food, but us, together, making memories." Evelyn looks up from her spaghetti lesson, her apron streaked with sauce, and nods. "He always knew better than us, didn't he?" she adds, her voice soft, and I smile, the old bitterness gone. Jessica glances over, her apron taut over her belly, and catches my eye. A silent promise to keep this alive for her child, too. As Lily twirls her fork, sauce splattering her chin, I see it all. Harper's dough, Owen's cookies, the recipe book growing with each Friday night. Bella Luna isn't just a restaurant anymore. It's a bridge Daniel built. A place where his kids belong, where his family learned to break bread and barriers together. The kids raise their juice cups again, a spontaneous toast, and I join them, my glass cool in my hand. To Daddy, Lily chirps, and we drink, the moment sealing something precious. A gift discovered in the chaos of that first night, a legacy of love I'll carry forever.